Usually these webinars, we begin with a prayer. That's our culture. So, and I'll request that we do the same today, and I'll take lead in this. So let's humble ourselves and pray. Our Father and our Lord in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity as we are going to explore yet another interesting topic. We pray that you come and be amidst us. I pray for that one person that is going to pick out something here that will change their lives forever. For this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So today we are glad to have Jacqueline. Jacqueline will speak more about herself, but in the limited capacity that I know Jacqueline is an enthusiastic philanthropist. If you guys follow her on LinkedIn or X, she usually does morning walks. So it was through the morning walks that I got to know Jacqueline, and in fact somewhere around November we had a walk together, and we were able to discuss a lot more. So she's an interesting person. Currently she's the Chief Executive Officer of CivSource Africa, which is still a philanthropy company, which also has some sort of an NGO side. So Jacqueline has a legal background. However, at the moment she's not practicing, for which that one should not make us feel like Jacqueline is not the right person. Sometimes the best person is that person who is standing aside and they are watching stuff happening. So at times they're the best people to advise. As others are busy into the operations, for us we are watching and are saying, okay, I wish ABCD could be done better. Yes, so that is why we have Jacqueline today. So I'll take this moment to welcome Jacqueline. She introduces herself before we go into our next session. Yes, over to you, Jackie.
I know, I feel like you've done it justice, actually. But I'm absolutely glad to be here and honored to be having this conversation as a lawyer and maybe a reluctant, what can I call it? A reluctant AI person. So I'm sure it will be interesting, but absolutely deeply passionate about justice and access to justice for all people. So I'm honored to be here, and thank you to all that have joined us today.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, maybe another thing that I forgot to say is Jacqueline is someone who is passionate about justice for all. So, and when we are to look at this, artificial intelligence in itself comes in to simplify work and to do a lot of good things for us. Now, to give you a little bit of a background, my name is Nohum Tebi. Yesterday, I officially became the founder and the chief data and AI strategist of Mono's Mind. So it has been an idea behind the scenes, and we've been doing these webinars. And of course, after putting a few things here and there, and of course, after being advised by a number of people here and there to make this official, yes, this is now officially here. And what we basically do is to educate and support the public, that is individuals, corporates and businesses, on how best they can leverage data and artificial intelligence to foster development. Now we are talking about sustainable development. So to talk a little bit more about that, a lot has been happening over the years. We've had several revolutions that have happened over time, and today, if you are all aware, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. So this one has a lot of things, including automation and others, Internet of Things, cybersecurity. But now, what has been so eye-opening and what has caught people's attention most, despite others which are equally important, is artificial intelligence. Because humans always have excuses, they are causing people that have businesses to say, okay guys, so what do we do? Okay? Now, I usually tell people that why AI is taking over and also taking over people's jobs. those who don't have AI is simply because when you train a model, an AI model, it has no choice but to learn and implement whatever it is told to do. Human beings, you're supposed to do something today. No wonder I officially became the founder and CDA yesterday, because at times human beings, we have options. We think we have options. What you should have done today, you still say, okay, I still have some time to do it later on. And also, there are things we tend to trivialize, especially things that may seem not to cause big impact, but yet behind the scenes actually, if well utilized, can actually change the world. So that is what data is. Data basically simple facts that if utilized well can change the world. AI is here because of data. AI models are trained based on data. The way your brain works, that your brain, when you read something, when you train it to master something, it does. That is how artificial intelligence is. It is built based on what we call the neural networks, which are actually copied from the brain. So the brain has neurons. So even AI is trained based on that. So that is the same idea and concept. So the way the human learns, so AI also mimics the learning of the human being. So that is briefly partly about that. But now when it comes to the legal sector, this topic might seem a little bit complicated and also not hard to take in, because we usually, people in the legal sector, you always go through lots of processes to approve certain things. Recently, there was an AI lawyer that was actually sued for not having a degree. So those are some of the things that we usually see when it comes to this kind of a field that we are now tackling today. That aside, we've seen so many opportunities that AI brings. Companies have been turned upside down, have been actually denying people instead of admitting. So companies have been turned upside down. Nations are now turning upside down. You're seeing so many people laying off workers. Africa is also learning that, okay, I think it is time for us to stand on our own. And a lot more things are happening. And all this AI actually plays a part. So when it comes to the legal side, analytics and artificial intelligence, sometimes we want to do things the way that we are used to. And at times it takes much time for us to embrace. So that is why we have this topic here to say, okay, when we are to look at the age of artificial intelligence, how is justice happening? How best can we utilize these new tools and technologies also in the legal sector? So we've been covering topics across various industries and fields, and today we are looking at specifically the legal sector. So, and it is usually a discussion. Participants always come in at the end of the discussion, so we are also going to request the same, but also feel free to leave a comment in this in the chat section. Also, you can ask your question there, but towards the end, we shall have chance for us to ask. Any aspiring data professionals here, this is also equally for you, because all we are doing under Munu's mind is how best we find opportunities. Opportunities are there whenever we don't lament about problems, but rather think of ways of solving these problems. When we solve these problems, we are creating opportunities and we are creating wealth that will last for a lifetime. So that is why we are here. So I would also like to inform you about our next topic that I'll be taking lead. So this is about project data analytics. Whether we're in the legal sector, in business, in school, in health, every little thing that we do is a project. In fact, even our own businesses, whether you're rearing chicken, that is a project. But again, how best do you embrace these little facts? Okay, how much have I invested today? That small money, let's say the transport that you chip in and every other thing, how best do you utilize it to make sure that you have a successful project? So that is what we are going to cover next week on the same day, same time. It is going to be practical, so we are going to look at the practical ways of embracing data and AI when it comes to managing projects. So in other words, it's like data-driven project management. So I'd like to welcome you all. Same link, same time. See you then. So back to our topic. Jackie, it's been a while ever since you said hello. I want to make sure that you're still there now that we are starting officially.
I'm still here.
All right. Thank you so much. So we are starting officially our discussion for today. It's about AI, like we've been saying. And now we are saying we've seen the capabilities of AI and data analytics, okay? And again, Jackie, from your experience, how best can AI and data analytics? Probably we've seen what AI is. So data analytics is basically us to utilize data to learn from it and make decisions that will better processes or that will improve the way we operate or do things. So that is analytics. So in the legal sector, how best can we integrate analytics? That is, we are looking at, okay, let's say out of the 20 people that we've had, 50% of them or 60% or this percentage, they have committed this kind of crime, okay? And out of that, maybe 80% of that 60%, this is the severity of the crime that they committed, okay? And now when it comes also to the amount of time, so looking at severity versus the amount of time someone spends in the cell before they are tried, could there be some bit of correlation? Could we integrate some bit of artificial intelligence? Okay, let's say it takes time for us to review all this evidence. But again, artificial intelligence can help us to do that. So the question is, how can these ones be utilized to enhance the efficiency of the judicial processes? Jacqueline, I hope that is clear. In case it's not, kindly let me know. So over to you.
No, thank you so much for that introduction. And once again, we welcome the guests that have joined us. I think I want to start my thoughts first by saying justice is a right. And everybody, rich, poor, whatever your political, social, economic status, the presumption is that all of us are equal before the law. And that, therefore, is why when you see the justice scales of Lady Justice, she has a cloth covering her eyes because justice is supposed to be applied equally to all people. As to whether it is, that is another question. But that's what justice is. And one of the maxims I know that many of us know, arising from that, is justice delayed is justice denied. So with that frame in mind, when I think about AI and data analytics and how they could enhance efficiency in the judicial process, it is really at the heart of that maxim. Justice delayed is justice denied. You talked about people committing crime. I was listening to radio last week or the other week. One of the ministers said he wanted to propose to the president that there be a moratorium for people who have committed petty crimes. One of the challenges in the criminal justice system right now is backlog, i.e., there are more people in prison that shouldn't be because the justice system is slow. And so you have people who were imprisoned in 2017 still waiting for their day in court. So justice delayed is justice denied. One would hope, one would aspire that AI would help us know how to shorten the length of time justice is delivered And one of these ways would be to know what is causing the delays. Where are the inefficiencies? Because in order to make a system more efficient, one needs to address the efficiencies. So probably the data, maybe the reason why we are all scrambling in the justice sector about how do we stop this backlog. If we were to stop arresting people right now and first deal with all those that are in our prisons countrywide, we would need several years to go through them. So, but also understand that on a daily basis, people are getting arrested. So we're just increasing the problem, right? So if we were to use AI, would AI help us know where the exact bottlenecks are and how to indeed dispense justice faster, have more speedy trials when we understand what exactly is causing the backlog? One of them, I think, is if you've ever watched our court proceedings, unfortunately, judicial officers are still handwriting as people are giving evidence. Understand that not all courts are equal, right? Some may have people that are typing. I don't remember now the legal term, it has jumped out of my head. But most of the time you'll see a judicial officer writing their own notes. Now, by the time they finish writing the notes for the hearing that happened today, give those notes to a secretary to have them typed up, have the secretary send them back to the judicial officer for them to read and take out the mistakes, send it back, then the next time the trial is, the next date of the trial. So it is those kinds of things that we're still, unfortunately, operating very analog in a highly digital era. And that, unfortunately, not all our systems, and justice is one of them, have caught up with the digital age. If we cannot even avail computers, if we cannot avail, so there are certain bottlenecks that unfortunately we have to deal with right now. So for me, AI, one of the ways it would help would be to analyze what are the current bottlenecks and how to address them. It would even help us know, because I don't even know how justice data is kept. We hope it is being kept. I'm sure the justice, law and order sector is always, trying to ensure that they have the right data about how many prisoners, how many cases in the courts, how many courts do we have, how many judicial officers we currently have, how many we need to have in relation to our population, because the population is increasing, but the judicial officers are not increasing at a rate that matches the population increase. And it's not only in the judicial sector, same with medicine, same with the education, same with health, same with education. So it's a system-wide, service-wide challenge. Today our focus is justice, but view this also as a service-wide challenge across the country. So for me, if AI could help us address the maxim, justice delayed is justice denied. How do we get more speedy trials? Not because we are churning them out for churning's sake, but that in the process of having speedy trials, we are dispensing justice at a faster rate. I think I'll stop there for now because I see that, there are 10 slides. But yeah, I hope I've painted the picture of what are some of the issues, some of the things that the justice system is facing right now. And moreover, we haven't even talked about civil cases, right? So there's the whole criminal justice system, there's a civil justice system. They run parallel, and many of the issues they face are shared issues.
Wow, that's an interesting one. Thank you so much, Jackie. So yes, recently, I think about 2 weeks ago, I attended a court session, and what you're saying is right. I can actually agree with you most of these people actually still take notes handwritten. It is handwritten. But again, this session being practical, if you were the secretary to the judge or whoever and you're still taking handwritten notes, it is, I think, high time for us to know that at the moment, there are AI tools that can be utilized for note-taking, okay? So they just listen, and after that, they are able to do they summarize the notes, and again they can be able to give you whatever you want. Now we can have a challenge there. Okay, we can say courts usually handled, and during the court sessions everyone speaks their own language, their mother tongue, a language that they understand most or best. So as a country, I think this can be a very small investment that we can do and invest in creating our own AI. By the way, this is not hard. I have seen a boy on LinkedIn who created an AI app that can be able to listen to Luganda and respond back to you in Luganda. However, the voice is Chinyankore voice. But that one works better, okay? So I think this is a small investment that the government or anyone, it can even be an entrepreneur here that can choose to invest in this. I think if there is anyone who has the money, this is something that I can be willing to join hands, and we do this and probably maybe sell it to the government. Who knows? Thank you so much. I think for now we shall move on to our next. Kindly, if you have questions, you either type them here or wait at the end of the session. So on number 2, don't worry guys, we only have 6 and the 7th one is a bonus, okay? So in what ways can data analytics uncover hidden patterns? Now, some of these partly maybe you answered in the previous one, so shall not spend a lot of time here. But again, you realize that there are hidden patterns like you were saying, and also some bit of inefficiency within the legal system. So partly you covered this. And how can these insights help us to guide the development of fairer AI systems? AI itself is not fully perfect at the moment, but you cannot know what is going to happen in the next 2-3 months. So these things keep getting better, they keep learning from us, and they keep improving themselves, okay? So 2-3 months, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years from now, we shall not know, but I am so certain that they are going to keep improving and becoming better. So in case we are to rely to say, okay, let's have an AI-powered system that, let's say, the government can utilize to, reduce on the time spent, on the delays and so on. So how can we support in making them a little bit fairer? Over to you, Jackie.
Hey, that's $1 million question, Nuhu. And so these are my quick thoughts, because you see, bias is really inherently personal, but of course informed by many things. Now, in what ways can data analytics uncover hidden patterns? One of the things I think that we don't often do, unfortunately, is study. So every time a case is concluded in court, there will be you guys, I have, what is it called? Senior moments. So lawyers here, help me. When a judgment, yes. A judgment. So there will be judgments that are read by the judicial officer presiding, right? So one of the ways would be that we would need something that analyzes all these judgments over several years to point out bias. And it can be maybe bias around gender. It can maybe be bias around language. How are poor people referred to? It can be bias even related to cases of poorer people, the ones that are delayed in courts, right? It can be bias as to, so is it the type of case? when it's a rape case, is there more bias as opposed to when there is a, I don't know, land case, right? And so even comparing case types. So there's so many ways that then once we're able to analyze this data and see where is the bias and for whom is the bias most and where is it located, is it judicial officers of a certain age or of a certain gender or of a certain educational background? Is it when the clients are of a certain age or of a certain, like comparing across different data points would help us arrive at this is where the bias is. Because again, justice, like we said in the beginning, is assumed that it is applied fairly to all across the board, regardless of who you are. But we know that unfortunately, that's not what it is. And so how do we glean those biases? And I think it would be to, analyze things like judgments. What judgments have come out regarding certain cases? It could be what level of courts are more biased than others, right? So you can even analyze a course across court systems. We have from magistrate grade 1 to 3 to 1, high court, and all the way to the Supreme Court. So where is the bias most? It can be bias as to issue. Is it around election matters, land matters, family law matters? Where is the justice inherent, or rather bias? So I think there are many, you can plot it so many ways. And for me, the issue would then be to say, once we glean that data, how do we address it? And in order to make the system fairer, that's what I would say. The hesitation was that I think, Nuhu, we also need to be aware that AI will have to work alongside many other things. Because even when you show the pattern of bias, you will need people then that are committed to addressing this bias, right? So it's one thing to say, this is where the bias is showing up. But if I don't care, right? If I have more pressing needs, I need computers, I don't care about bias, right? So it's one thing for AI to show us where the bias or inefficiency in the legal system is. It is absolutely another thing to have legal officers, judicial officers, a parliament that cares about justice. I think that is what AI cannot address. And yet the two must come together.
All right. Yes, you're absolutely right. AI on its own does not actually make decisions. So it can tell us what to do, but in the end, there is a human that is going to do what? To decide and say, okay, yes, I think let's do as recommended. But also, like I earlier said, it's not yet so perfect. So it needs some bit of human intervention to have the very best. Now, you pointed out a very key point of we need to gather these data points. We need to have these facts looking into the judgment. So it's a question, do they have a system that actually captures and follows up on this? So I don't know, maybe that is a question that our lawyers can answer later on. But in case there is no, I think it is high time for us to wake up, have a system that can capture all this, because the more the data, the better the model. So AI works with more and more and more and more data. So the concept of big data, it works more, it's more accurate when there is an element of big data. So yes, thank you so much for that. Maybe you can have further discussion on that during our Q&A. So number 3, now...
I think the only other thing I would say to that is while the more the data, the better. So in Uganda's, and here I assume we are discussing the formal justice system. Remember that justice is dispensed at very many levels. there are levels of the LC structure. Remember, we have LC1 courts, we have mediation, so there are also many spaces for delivering justice. And I think one would then have to adapt systems that can capture data from the different ways justice is dispensed, and not to assume, because we must also understand that there are high levels of legal illiteracy. So yes, while the court system seems clogged, at the same time, there are actually more cases that are decided outside of court, because courts are still expensive, they're still far away from people, they're still inaccessible in terms of language, in terms of legal officers. So if, especially in countries like ours, given legal illiteracy, given even access to formal justice spaces, I think what would be of service more to our people is, first of all, to understand, where do people go for justice and for what kinds of cases? Because if we address it at that mass level, it works for them, and we also then are working at lightening the load at that level.
Makes sense. Though for this webinar, our focus was on the formal justice. But yes, thank you for the enlightenment. Yes, so we shall move on to the next, that is about ethics. We know ethics, these are do's or don'ts, right or wrong. And in the court or in the formal justice sector, there are some ethical concerns. We have privacy challenges that might be reported when it comes to applying AI and analytics. And of course, yes, these are expected. But what are some of the measures that you think we can be taken to mitigate some of these concerns? Hello?
Yes, no, I'm here. I was reading the question again to make sure that I had understood it. So, like we said previously, it takes, AI can reveal, it takes humans to decide. One of the things we did when I was still active in the legal profession was to request the courts to have in-camera hearings for certain cases, precisely to address this issue around ethical and privacy challenges. So where it was cases involving children, right? Where it was cases of, rape and other grievous sexual offenses, where you don't want to expose, already there's deep trauma involved, and you don't want to keep re-traumatizing the person. Issues around mental health and well-being, issues around, so we started to say, open court exposes these people to shame, to ridicule, to stigma, to gossip, to you don't want to, already they are traumatized. You don't want to re-traumatize by exposing them to open court. And therefore we lobbied for and campaigned for in-camera hearings. And then there's also lobbying for, if a child breaks down while they're giving testimony, don't insist on continuing, right? We had to educate lawyers. You can't keep haranguing a witness, right? When the case before the court is one where there was deep trauma. And so maybe if AI would come in to then analyze, and I don't even know how, I'm fumbling because I'm wondering even how, but it would be to analyze, has this worked to protect victims of injustice? And if not, how do we still continue to protect victims against re-traumatization. When you go back to the question about bias, sometimes it was even in the way certain questions were asked of people who had come seeking justice, right? So for example, to assume that because a person who has reported rape, for example, is a sex worker, and so there's already inherent bias. So you were already, so of course they were going to, right, rape you, things like those, that then a lawyer would ask certain questions that re-traumatize. So it would even be to go through what kinds of questions are asked, how are they asked, who asks them, and in that way sort of taking out and showing us what are the ethical and privacy questions that are emerging, and then at what point do we address them? Is it policy? Is it re-education of legal officers? Is it reconstituting how a court is done? So that for me would be the areas where, and measures that one could take, that yes, we have moved a certain way, but did that work? We assumed that those measures would work. Did they work? And maybe AI would help tell us whether they have or not.
All right, that makes sense. Now, what if I was to rephrase this question in another way? Okay, if I'm to use AI, could there be trust issues? Okay, could there be some bit of a point where AI actually makes a mistake? So this could be some of the reasons or some of the ways people view AI as incompetent at the moment. So if I'm to look at it in that angle, this kind of privacy challenges or ethical challenges, how would you advise? How can we go about that? Should we wait until AI is perfect for us to adapt it in the legal sector, or we can actually utilize it and it works alongside humans? Yes, in that kind of a line.
And will AI be perfect? I'm not even sure, Nuhu. Because already it is being developed by imperfect human beings, right? And maybe imperfect human beings will never create things that are absolutely perfect. So of course there will always be flaws. I think one thing to be open about often is around information and consent. So as I am litigating my case, whether as a lawyer, whether I go there as a person who is a victim or the offender, do I know that certain analytics or certain information rather is being mined, and have I consented to it? So for me, for now, those are the issues that I think we would need to address. And that unfortunately, especially like you said, AI works on big data, that very often the fine print has been too fine. It is in English. It is not in a language that I understand and I'm able to consent to, because sometimes I may need someone to explain to me exactly what I am consenting to, exactly what I'm exposing myself to, and where my data will go and what it will be used for. So do I understand that whole chain, and have I consented to the whole chain? So it brings for me questions of consent. Like I said already, where we're working in a situation where there's high legal illiteracy, you can imagine what layer we are adding as we even want to data mine in order to make decisions.
Okay, I see Simon's hand is up. Okay, Simon, I'm going to allow you some 45 seconds. Maybe probably you want to say something that is burning here. Yes, Simon.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'd like to just supplement what Jackie has said. I completely agree with her. And however, when you look at the how countries are looking at AI, the aspect of data security is one important aspect. We have seen the GDPR being created earlier on, and I think we have seen also the EU AI Act, which has been created recently. And I think majority of these statutes are aiming at looking at the aspect of data security, the aspect of copyright, which I think, which I supplement that there are things we can wait for as we wait for really AI to expand. However, there are certain things we are required to address. For example, I'm in Uganda, and when you look around, we haven't really started investing that much in artificial intelligence. However, that hasn't stopped the influence of other artificial intelligences in our country from dominating literally things around. So you realize that we have to look at the aspects of, are people's data being protected, or what is the aspect of copyright? We can wait for certain things in the future. However, there are certain things that require our urgent attention when it comes to the aspect of artificial intelligence. So for me, I think, or I submit that we should take a step as we wait for AI to really grow and become something bigger, because I think I supplement that if we wait to regulate AI when it's already something big, now that is going to be very difficult. Why? AI develops literally every second of our lives, and every second we take is a risk. Why? AI doesn't wait for it being regulated. No, for it aims at growing into something bigger than even than we can accommodate. We are looking at the emergence of advanced artificial intelligence. It's not waiting for anyone to regulate it. It's going to be just far bigger. So I think when we come to the aspect of artificial intelligence, we should start now and maybe wait for certain things in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simon. Yes, I agree with you. We cannot wait until it is perfect, because we may not have the resources to implement it then. But now if we start small, embrace and utilize what is possible, I think that can help us. I'm going to request you either to type it in chat if your hand is up. If not, you wait at the end of the session. I'm going to give you an opportunity. So Jackie, we have data professionals here, and okay, maybe before that, there is this aspect of the marginalized communities, which you're so much passionate about. So the underrepresented, okay, it takes years for us to hear from the judge. It takes a lot of time. So, but there is this imperfect AI that can offer a temporary solution. So do you think we can utilize this AI, however imperfect it is, for us to speed up some of these processes, or take years to wait until fair justice is delivered, if it is fair at all? Yes, Jackie.
Oh, my dear, the questions you've asked meanwhile would take a whole course unit for 3 years. But anyhow,
Let's 2 minutes.
because so let's also be aware we might not answer everything tonight. So this I think is an invitation for us to keep on being curious about the questions that we are raising this evening.
For example, we want to have Simon in the future join us to discuss more about this topic.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. How might AI and data improve access to justice? Like I said, that it might help us to show, what are the bottlenecks, and maybe broken down by process, right? Because so when a person has an injustice occasioned, where does the lack of access to justice happen? Is it in knowledge of the law? Or once they know, is it in access to a remedy, or to a place where to access a remedy? So if it is that I know my rights, but the police station is 10 kilometers away from me, AI might not help, right? Or maybe it will, wait, what do I want to say? AI may tell us the reason why the underrepresented cannot access is because the nearest police station, in order to report a crime, is X number of kilometers away. Beyond showing you that, then what, right? So that's why I'm saying that, Nuhu, it has to be, one has to understand justice also as a process. It is not just an end goal. It's not just the judgment. By the time a judge has given a judgment, there are so many processes. So I think for me, the way to do it is to literally study the step by step that the underrepresented and marginalized face when they are trying to access justice. Is it a language issue? Is it a distance issue? Is it a lack of legal knowledge issue? Is it a lack of judicial officers issues? Is it a lack of, there's a time actually, one of the issues that was challenging women and girls who were reporting, women, girls and men who were reporting gender-based violence was the fact that at police stations, there's a police form 3, I believe it is, that on which evidence for those kinds of crimes are supposed to be written down. Most police stations would have this one police form, and when I come to report, I am required to go and photocopy it and bring back the copy for the police station, right? So already I've come to report my crime, but I am the one required to go and photocopy it. So again, that's what I'm saying, Nuhu, it would literally be, so if it is a crime of theft, where are the points of injustice? If it is a land injustice, what are the points for the underrepresented and marginalized? And AI would need to enable us go to that depth in order then to address how to improve access to justice. I hope I'm clear, because it's not carte blanche. Different legal challenges require different processes, and those processes impact people differently.
Absolutely. You're clear, loud and clear. I think it makes sense. So, right. So, to my emerging data professionals, so this is for you. Of course, things have been that you need to have a legal degree for you to have, or, take on some study a course in something. Then you can be free to aspiring. So Jackie, are there some bit of opportunities that are targeting data or AI that these young people can leverage? If it means going back to LDC, my interest is how can we integrate analytics and artificial intelligence? Could there be sort of a course that I can do to qualify? Yes, over to you. If not, what are some of the opportunities as an aspiring data professional or a data professional? I'm a data analyst, I'm a data scientist, I'm a machine learning engineer. How can I penetrate the legal sector? What are some of the opportunities in there? Yes, thank you, and over to you.
Yeah, I think, so one, this might be better asked of institutions of higher learning, and especially law schools. I think over the years, one thing that I've appreciated with law schools generally is that we are learning that law is absolutely a multidisciplinary discipline. So whereas before it was only artists, and moreover, if you did right, history, economics, literature, it was an exclusive club for those who did that combination of subjects. Then maybe they added divinity and maybe geography, but you'd really look down on people. Like it was really like you had to have done only certain subjects. But that was when we had a limited understanding. What I know now is that more and more the legal profession has been opened up to all kinds of A-level combinations. So you don't have to only do the classical history, economics, literature, because indeed what we do know and learn is that the law literally touches any and every aspect of our lives, right? From the moment you take your first breath to the moment you take your last. The law is everywhere about us. We may not see it, we may not know it, but it is a fact. So whether it is medical law, employment law, insurance, like anything you touch and breathe has the law around it. And so more increasingly, there are more courses available for young lawyers right now in law schools now. In our time, much fewer. But that is only one side, right? The other thing that we continuously need to do, and that's where law societies and organizations for judicial officers come in, because yes, while you are training the young lawyer or young data ed, or opening up the law schools to be more nuanced in the way that they deliver legal education, you must understand that you're also dealing with people that are already in the legal system. So what are the tools or training that judicial officers need to go through, that prosecutors need to go through, that even ministries of justice need to go through, right? So that we see it as a whole chain of legal education up and down the chain. What are many organizations, especially in the nonprofit and especially those that are supporting the underrepresented that we were talking about, many organizations train paralegals. These are people who didn't go to law school, who don't have a law degree, but are, considered influential in their communities. They are trained in certain aspects of the law and trained to really deliver at the very rudimentary level, right? Like if you quarreled with your neighbor over a boundary, that shouldn't become a court case for which you wait 8 years to be heard. No. There are things that we can address here at community level. Do we even think about them when we're thinking about the opportunities for legal learning? So it's also for us as those in data professionals to open our eyes that the legal chain is much wider. The legal net is much wider than even we think about it. And so if we are thinking about how to interact with and support the delivery of justice, where would we most be beneficial? And I still argue for where it hurts most, which is at community level. So how can we, and if that is where the bulk of the pain in access to justice is, how do we focus there and make ourselves relevant at that point in the chain?
All right, that's great. Thank you so much. So aspiring data professionals, I hope you know where you can fit best now. All right, so we shall go on to our next, the second last. Jack, in 2 minutes, how can the integration of AI and data analytics be balanced with preserving human judgment and discretion in courts?
Am I allowed to pass? Because I don't know if I have an answer right now for this one. And I'd have to think, but I can also, that game, was it called Jeopardy, where you can throw it to the audience and have someone save you? So if someone in the audience has an idea, and I see Saloom has the answer for me.
Seems like it's Simon. Saloom, his hand has been up for some time.
I thought Higenyi is the one who spoke. But anyhow, yes. What do we think as the audience?
Yes, Simon.
To respond to this question, I'm going to just give a simple supplement, and you guys can maybe give me a feedback upon it. Well, for me, I think the best way to integrate artificial intelligence and data analytics to balance preserving human judgment and discretion is the first thing that I consider is adopt, adapt, and learn more. That the best way we can integrate these things within our daily lives and to preserve human judgment and dignity is by learning how to use them. By learning how to use them, we learn to really put the boundaries there. Merely telling people this shouldn't be done does not work very well. But let me take an example. you can, if you're observing how the rate at which artificial intelligence is emerging, there are people who are really refusing to embrace it. Why? They consider it as a threat. However, viewing artificial intelligence as a threat is not going to solve the problem that it is an emerging issue that requires to be addressed, but rather addressing it, learning how to use it, learning how to coexist with it is a step to preserve the element of human judgment and preserving the discretion within the courts. So for me, I think that the best way we can learn to integrate artificial intelligence and data analytics is by learning how to use these things well, whereas observing the ethics and human judgment. When someone continuously uses artificial intelligence, I'm saying this because I'm one of the people who is currently using it, you realize that actually it does not hinder your critical thinking if you learn to use it continuously and you respect the boundaries or you put the boundaries. However, if you're restricted from using it, then it might become something else. Why? When you get your chance, you might use it the wrong way. And in the end, it might affect you. That's what I have to submit. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, that's perfect, really. Thank you so much. Solomon, yes, we should not discourage people from using it, but rather we should keep pushing and encouraging. Sometimes you can detect loopholes better if you were senior at it. But if you're not, then you're not able to do that. So I think, like Simon is saying, yes, that is the best way to go about it. Yeah, I'll go on to our last. Yes, this is something that we've been discussing about, talking about indirectly. So, okay, we are saying we need to embrace AI. So, what training, Jackie and Simon and other people here, what training or capacity building initiatives should we introduce for legal professionals and court staff to effectively use AI and data analytics tools? Maybe Jackie can come first, then maybe Simon can also supplement.
Simon, oh, sorry, I was calling you Simon. No, you know, the lengths and breadths, and I'm fumbling because I'm like, what training would it be? I think start as, what do you call it, as elementary as possible, because like we said, if already we are still, though the aspiration of course is to go digital, if we are still even handwriting judgments, right, to be typed by secretaries, we have a long way to go. Doesn't mean that we can't get there, but we do have a long way to go. And even as you ask this question, Nuhu, and then I'll give it to Simon because he might have a more, or even you or anybody who is into this. Even before we go there, it would even be to say what money is even available for training, for on-job training of judicial officers and of lawyers. In the Law Society, we have what is called continuing legal education, for which you get points when you attend, and which points you are part of what you submit when you are renewing your practicing certificate, which practicing certificate is renewed every year. And the Law Society does that as one way to say, as a lawyer, you must be continuously learning. The learning doesn't stop when you put down your pen at the last exam in LDC, but that in order to be relevant in your legal profession, and because society and law changes, you must always be keeping up to speed. So that, if we remember the question about opportunities, that in and of itself is an opportunity that already as a profession we recognize we must be in continuous capacity building. On the other hand, especially for government agencies, which are the ones that dispense justice, an interesting data point would be what amount is actually available and for what level of judicial officer for training and capacity building. And then as to what they should be trained in, it would be, even the professionals to tell us, because sometimes, as the saying goes, you don't know what you don't know. So we assume that we know what we might need, but maybe we don't. So it is indeed to work with data professionals to say, and these are the things that you might need to be trained in. And knowing that, and this will be my final, I think the thing we have struggled, especially, and going back to justice delayed is justice denied. How do we also do trainings in a way, yes, that you want to enhance justice, but also understanding that every time I remove a judicial officer from their chair to go and do training, I am also delaying someone's justice. Yet, the training is important, maybe in order to speed up the justice. So it is that really that delicate balance that we are looking at as well. So over to the people who would know like exactly what initiatives should be introduced.
Yes, thank you so much, Jackie. Simon, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I agree with Jackie. She's actually well. Continuous learning is one of the aspects I think we should take into strong consideration. I think last week, I think there was a lawsuit that involved a law firm called Morgan and Morgan, and I think ordinarily when you go to a law firm, you'd think these guys literally know the law and they know how to carry out the necessary due diligence. However, when this the matter went in court, I think Morgan and Morgan were in conflict with the court itself, because they had used an AI to literally generate the cases that they had used. So in simple terms, they gave hallucinations, or rather false cases that weren't existing. So I think that what I'm trying to arrive at is the aspect that we can decide to continuously engage with artificial intelligence. And by continuously learning more about it and interacting with it, it gives us the chance to understand it. Why I've used the case of Morgan and Morgan, or that involved Morgan and Morgan, was because when some of the parties were involved were asked why they had brought non-existent cases in court, some of them stated that actually they had never used AI, where it was their first time. So in simple terms, they weren't able to know the difference between a hallucination or a wrong case. Why? They didn't think it was paramount to really carry out more due diligence to ascertain whether these cases were in existence. So for me, I submit that we can continuously learn about artificial intelligence and know how to adapt and use it within our workplaces. And at the end of the day, I think it will be really fruitful, because I think we have seen the emergence of great law firms and legal AI companies. I think there is Harvey, there is Kleros. These companies are really at the top, and they're really providing legal services, while at the same time preserving the integrity of the profession itself. And when we look at the aspect of conferences and seminars, I think we should also take that into consideration. I think lawyers really know the law. However, I think many of us are new to the aspect of artificial intelligence. And I think some lawyers are really pushing this thing not to work, but well, artificial intelligence is going to work whether you want it or not. So we can either learn more about it through conferences, seminar, even self-learning, to know more about it and how we can incorporate or use it within our various professions. Then best we can use it to our advantage and preserve the integrity of our various professions. Thank you.
All right, that's great. I think you've said it all. Yes, this is really important, because like the example you gave, if people don't know how to use it, then they are going to continue providing evidence that may not work really. So thank you so much for that wonderful discussion. So now at this very moment, I would love us to take about 15 minutes, actually 14. By 9:20 we should be done. It usually goes up to 9:30, but we can end it 10 minutes earlier. So in the next 13 minutes, the floor is open. Feel free to ask a question. We have Jackie, we have Higenyi, and also Salum, I think is also a lawyer. Any other legal profession here, please kindly, when they ask a question, if you have the answer, respond. And yes, it's now over to you. But Salom, before we proceed, Salom, your hand was up at some point. Do you mind maybe giving in your submission? Okay, maybe as Salom comes, anyone with a question, maybe I can go in chat and see if... Yes, Salom.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for your good presentation. Actually, for me, this is the first time to join this in this program. For me, actually, I would like to thanks very much for this presentation, and actually, I have learned a lot because this is my first time. So, but I have few things I would like to add, because I think everything has been discussed very well for my side. So, but because I am a court staff also, so for me, I would advise. I would have a piece of advice for those who are working in court, that we are still in very how can I say, we're still in very backward according to this improvement or this science and technology, because we have still have some staffs who even very poor in computer literacy. So when we talk about this AI is a little more advanced things. So for me today, I think I have learned something that I would advise for those who are working in court to have some time to learn about these new things, because to be honest, I took some time to even to advise some of my staff, of my fellow staff, that there is these things, but for them is new thing, they have even never heard about this. See, so, and as we say that the wind of changes can never be stopped, and this wind of AI or artificial intelligence, I think for me these things, even we say some of them, they consider that the threat for in legal profession, but for me this thing is unavoidable. So I agree that especially legal professional and court staff should be go deeper and deeper to learn about these things, because it has come in our way. Previously, we thought that this issue of AI maybe is for those in company or in other professional, but fortunately, these things now has come in our professional. So we have to pull up our socks to get involved in this technology, because it is unavoidable for in our contemporary world and in our future. That's thanks for listening. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Salom, for the piece of advice. Yes. Other people, anyone with a question? So I saw someone posted here. I think it was Nahabwe. I think ethical issues would arise from using already biased training data. Yeah, that's right. So if our training data is biased, then we may have some bit of issues later on, but we can find ways of addressing this bias in the training data such that at least there is some bit of level of trust that we can have before it is being used. Any other person? If no questions, then we are going to close this. But as you think of the questions to ask, I would love to remind you of our upcoming webinar. That will be on project data analytics. So whether you are Simon in the legal sector, someone running your own business, you are working with an NGO or something, on 27th of February, we are going to have a practical webinar where we shall look at how best can you utilize data for a successful project in the end. So that is what we shall be handling, and I'll be the one taking lead in that. Please, if you can, join in same time. If you have friends who may have interest, share the link. It is the same link that we use over and over, such that we all benefit. So anyone with a question, I'll take one person, then we can close this. Please, guys, it is so unfortunate for you not to ask, by the way. So Simon, I think we are going to keep in touch. We shall have another session on this that will target more of the legal practitioners on how best they can embrace this. And of course, also we need to keep in touch. There is this opportunity that we see here that most of the legal professionals may need. Since this is a technical field, we may need to develop some bit of training for them. That can be an opportunity for us as well. So I'll share the link here for those who may want to register for the webinars. Yes, Salum, yeah, your hand is up. Could you please ask?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. No. In my side, this is, as I said, that this is a new thing for me. And I think you, maybe in your jurisdiction, maybe you have ever come across with this AI devices which are used in a courtroom. So here I have a question. So in this device, that device, I try to visualize or to imagine if this AI device which is used in a courtroom, if this device has a capacity or ability to discover or to maybe to discover the emotional activities which are going when the court session is, maybe for example, let me give you an example. When you read a case proceeding, we write sometime maybe there's emotional things happening in a court session, like maybe crying. Then you mention that in this stage, maybe a victim said this and this and that, and then in the bracket, we write that in this stage there's emotional things happen. Maybe the victim cried or show any emotional things. So in this AI devices also can detect this emotional things happen in the court, so as to reach in a justice decision. That is my question, if is understandable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Simon, I'm going to give this to you. So probably have you come across this in your practice based on his question?
I try to listen, but I think I didn't get everything. However, one thing that I can reply, I think it goes back to the data that is used to train AI. If the data that is to train this AI is not biased, then I think it can reach the results that are desired when you're addressing the matter that Salim is trying to talk about. So for me, that's what I think, or I submit on, that I think it goes back to the data that is used to train these AIs. If the data is sufficient enough to enable the AI come to a conclusive decision that is satisfying to whoever is using the AI to address this matter, then it can give the results that they want. I am submit.
Yes, maybe on addition, you talked about the crying. Today they are trying to incorporate some bit of models that can actually read emotions. So probably that one can also be utilized. But at the moment, I don't know of any AI that does all that, though this is still improving. And also people in the legal sector, I think there is a big role for you to play in making sure that more models are built that can address some of those issues. So other than that, I would love to thank you so much. We had up to, I think, 25 people at one point. So thank you for turning up in big numbers. And in the future, we shall be communicating. When the next webinar will be there. But these webinars happen every Thursday. So if you register once and you can attend all. So we shall be keeping you posted. But I see one more hand from Micah. So probably as Micah comes in, okay, I'll say my final words. And also Jackie will come and give us her final words and thoughts. Then we can call it a day. Yes, Micah.
Thank you, Mr. No and colleagues. My question is specifically to the lawyers in the house. There is a machine called polygraph that has been previously used for detecting lies, but it received a very low reception, and I don't know. Are there other technologies that have evolved maybe around that of this nature that lawyers are trying to use, or courts of laws that use to detect some of these lies? Because when you look at how this machine has been used previously, there's some truth to it, but there was a very low reception from the courtrooms. And could this tell us the reason why AI is really not moving as fast as it should be in courts compared to other fields?
Yes, thank you, Mike. I've watched those things in movies. Maybe lawyers will tell us if that is real or not. And yes, why there is low reception. Yes, Simon. Today every question is coming to you. Jackie, also to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
As senior counsel, I have delegated to junior counsel.
Okay, Simon.
Okay, thank you so much. And now on that aspect, of course, I think that I humbly submit that there are other tools out there. However, I think the question goes back to how are people aware of it. Truth be told, I also didn't know that that AI. I haven't heard about it. But one thing I can confidently say is there are many tools out there. Why it got a low reception or acceptance, I think it goes back to the aspect that many people aren't aware of them or how to use them. So you realize the AI illiteracy level is high. Then the aspect of being biased, just like the machines, we humans are also biased. So just like I said, some of the lawyers see this as a threat. And truth be told, an AI that can detect a lie, that's a real threat to anyone. So it goes, it is also a point that I think some lawyers are threatened, they are biased, and I also like to state that we are not very familiar with some of these things. but I think the continuous utilization and engagement with them, maybe if people realize how good they are in the future, maybe they will have to adapt and use them. However, right now, I think I submit that people are biased, people don't know, and they fear. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And please thank you all for listening in until the end. So I am going to invite Jackie to give us her final thoughts, and we can call it a night. Yes, Jackie.
No, I think I'll end where I started, that justice is a right for everybody. And to the extent that AI can ensure and enable justice to be accessed by everybody without bias, that will take us a long way. It's also to say that indeed, as we're saying here, that AI, of course, keeps getting improved. Will we catch up by then? I am not sure. And that many of these decisions, even around AI, learning and use of data and all these things, also have to emanate from a policy position. And our laws and policies are made by non-lawyers in the house called Parliament. When we think about people to educate, they should also be first among our list as AI and data people. If the lawmaker who is going to make the law to enable justice not to be delayed does not understand the use of AI, they will either bungle up the law or they won't understand how it can benefit justice. So that is, in a sense where I'm also pleading that we focus on the law and policy makers, on those that determine our budgets, on those, because those are that's the hardware or the software that drives the hardware, or the hardware that drives the software. Those things need to go hand in hand in order for justice to be experienced. And that is where I will end today. And to thank all of us for having been here. And like I said, today is an eye-opener. May we continue to self-educate, to be curious, to attend the other sessions, and to continuously look for the right solutions, because that's what leaders do. We see the blockages, but as leaders, we are providing the right solutions. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you too for accepting to join us, Jackie. And please thank you all. I would love to meet you in the next one. Yes, also those data professionals that need trainings, Mono's Mind is here to give you all the trainings and the support you need. Visit our website, sign up, and you'll be able to get the support. People who attend our webinars, we give you 50% discount. So you learn everything that is there for an entire year at only 500,000 shillings. So may God bless you. I'm going to request someone to give us a closing prayer, and then we can call it a day. Yes, Jethro, could you pray for us?
It's all right.
Thank you.
Shall we pray? Our precious Father in heaven, we want to thank you for this moment that you've given us, that we've attained knowledge and shared wisdom. Father, as we go to rest, may you come and bless us and help us and enable us build on what we already know. Enable us build on our relationships and working together. And Father, above all else, Father, may you enable us use everything in our power to uphold justice for your name's sake and for your glory. Come and be with us until we meet again, and may your name be glorified. I pray this believing and trusting in thy name. Amen.
Thank you so much, guys. See you next Thursday. Tomorrow we are airing out some webinar, so you can check it out. And also this one will be aired, I think, on Saturday night or Sunday. So let's keep in touch. Bye-bye for now until we meet again.
Bye. Thank you very much.